Hi, welcome to the Natural Alternative Podcast with Madonna Guy. I'm introducing LindaJoyBenn today to the program. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Madonna. Great to see you.
Wonderful to have you on the program. So you have a massive history with your health, which you have managed to you've managed to find a way of introducing your program to the world that's helped you get through autoimmune issues when you were rock bottom with chronic fatigue and adrenal burnout and Graves' disease and chronic fatigue. How many people do you know who managed to say, I made my way back. I'm living my life to the best of my ability. Well done, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey. I've actually met a lot of people, because autoimmune seems to be more common nowadays, but they're just medicated.
Yes.
And then I also know another lady who had her thyroid removed and regrets it.
Yes.
So she has to be on medication for the rest of her life. And then, Hashimoto's, that's another one.
Absolutely. They're the knife edge of that thyroid disorder, Too slow, we get Hashimoto's depression. Too fast, we get Graves and anxiety and any combination of anything in between.
Exactly.
I was speaking to a nurse a couple of years ago, and she was telling me that it's the only disorder on the planet where they deliberately destroy an organ so that they can easily medicate you for the rest of your life. So with Graves' disease, they literally do radiation or toxic drugs so that it gets destroyed, and then they can put you on thyroxine, Eroxin, those drugs.
Yeah. My doctor at the time was extremely upset with me because I was non-compliant.
You, Linda? No.
Because my health was deteriorating, and I had to go and get new blood tests every 3 months. And when I lost sight in my left eye, I went and saw him and I said, I can't see out of my left eye. And he went, well, that's one of the, the symptoms of Graves' disease. And, this is why I keep telling you to take your medication. And it was like he was so on that medical track.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about, the bulging eyes and blah, blah, blah. And so, but I knew, because him and I, he's coming from medical, I'm coming from holistic, and I knew that I could heal it myself. I just needed to get into that headspace and the willingness in order to take charge of my life and heal it. So
absolutely. So what came first? Like, what was the trigger for your health issues at the beginning? Was it the parasites from travel overseas? Was it stress? Was it family issues?
It was a combination. So I got the parasites when I was in Costa Rica. I was in Costa Rica for 3 months before I came back to Australia. I was really good up until the last week, and I drank some water out of the tap. I was at the beach, and it was in that last week. It's like, oh no, I don't feel well. It's like this nausea and anyway. Then I flew straight to Portugal for a retreat there, a silent retreat with Muji. And it was all, the meals and everything were prepared. And so I couldn't. And because from Portugal, so I went from Costa Rica to Portugal, back to California to sort out my bags to come back to Australia. So I didn't have time to go and see a natural therapist or a naturopath or a doctor or get any tests. So I just had to keep going. But the time I was in California, it was only like 6 weeks, but it was extremely stressful because I was trying to pack up my whole life in order to sort out, storage and my stuff and what I could bring back in a suitcase. And living on the road out of a car for that 6 weeks, like it was 1 week. In 1 week, I slept in 5 different beds.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that stress, as well as leaving all my friends and my life there and coming back to Australia to the unknown, and that just adds to all the chronic stress. And because it just went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then I came back to Australia and all the family attacks started again, and I was already feeling fragile and vulnerable when I came back, because it was like,
people don't realize the effect that has on their health. It's like, like a lot of people over, say, the age of, say, 60 and 70, they don't even believe in stress. It's just not within their mindset to it's not in their mindset to think about it. They cope with stuff or they don't. They take a drug, pill for an ill.
Exactly. And I mean, when I was living in the US, because I was there for a total of 7 years, I was always strong, healthy. Yes, adrenals, I pushed the envelope there, but
had a good time.
But I'd go to the gym, I'd work out for 2 hours. I was commuting on the road for hours, every day, but I managed to keep, my energy high and my vibrancy, and and keep.
So compared to that, when you were at your rock bottom, how bad were you?
Oh, I was pretty much on the couch most of the day. I would get up, hardly sleep. I think I was getting maybe 4 hours sleep a night.
Right.
So if I woke up, say, at 2:30 or something in the morning, get back to sleep, at 5:30 is the first gym class when the gym's open. So it's like I'd punish myself and go, right, well, you're not sleeping, you might as well go and do something. So I'd go and burn myself out even more at the gym, not realizing that was just putting more and more stress on my body. But
people think that if they've got the energy, they're doing okay. They don't realize how running on adrenaline, cortisol, noradrenaline, all of those chronic stress hormones, they don't realize that actually burns your muscle mass faster and lays down fat mass. So you can be staying the same weight, but losing the muscle mass, gaining fat mass, you're losing your mitochondria, so you don't have that core ability to create energy in your body.
And that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
I was just running on adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then
people get into the coffees throughout the day, the sugar hits throughout the day, the carbohydrate hits, and then they get that little burst of energy and think they're doing okay. Meanwhile, their poor little body's just in the background really struggling to get on top.
Well, and just to get through a day, I'd have to really plan it out, because I couldn't go out for a whole day.
Yeah.
It's like I had to be close to the couch. I'd go out for like a couple of hours or go and do something, but then I had to come back home and I'd literally sleep on the couch. I remember walking, I stopped at the supermarket, and I walked into the supermarket and I got a trolley, and I looked at all the aisles and I went, I can't do this. And I turned around, I put the trolley back, and the angels looked after me, because I shouldn't have been driving.
Yeah.
It was dangerous. I couldn't even see out of my left eye, but I was so fatigued that even trying to mentally think, because, and people just take this for granted too. And I've never shared this, but that day at the supermarket, to try and think about, okay, what do I need, and look at the items on the shelf, that was all too much for me.
Yeah.
And it was like, I cannot do this. I've got to go home, and I've got to lay down, and I've got to sleep. So
what was the process to coming back? So once you hit rock bottom, and then you found your doctor, who was an integrative doctor. So is that right?
Well, the integrative doctor was in Sydney. That's because I lived in Sydney for 18 months when I came back to Australia, and then I came back to Brisbane. and I went to a regular GP. And so
regular GPs, unfortunately, here in Australia, they're not taught about chronic illness. They really do have very, very little knowledge about inflammation and chronic, well, even chronic fatigue. They've got no concept.
And they're not taught about nutrition either.
No.
So basically, it was my spiritual teacher who I went and had a reading with, and she just went, "What are you doing?" And that was around the same time as I went to the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival, and I had a kinesiology session, and she, brought things, because after that session, it was like, wow, I feel back in my body, and that was so exciting because I was leaving. I was leaving. But one of the things, and this may sound, crazy to some, but I lost my willingness to live. And that was one of my mantras, I am willing. And I had to really focus on keep filling up myself with love and light. And then when I saw my spiritual teacher and basically got spirit slapped, that's where it's like, right, okay, I commit to, I take full responsibility that I created this illness in my body, and I let my body just deteriorate. And I'm now, responsible for healing my body and getting my health and wellness back on track. And that's what I did.
Yes, and I think that's part of the problem with the way that we see doctors on a pedestal, and we give our responsibility over to doctors, and it's their responsibility to get us well, but they don't know our bodies the way we know our bodies. They don't look at the spirit. They don't look at the mind. They don't look at the psychological issues that are in underneath there, stopping us from wanting to live our best life and have our best health. And people are so taught to look at the fast fixes these days.
Yes.
And so I have to say to people, this isn't going to be fast. You're used to taking a drug and having pain relief within 5 minutes. It's not like that when you're actually healing whole organ systems.
Exactly. And that was his go-to. Take this medication. He wanted to put me on, antidepressants as well. I mean, there was a whole cocktail of different things that he wanted to give me. And I went, no. No. And so we kind of butt heads a little. And anyway, well, after I did, start to recover, and I went and had another blood test, and he just went, wow, oh my God, this is amazing. And I said, I told you. So, and it was up to me. But what I explain to people is, and I mean, the medical profession, I'm not against it, because they do wonderful things, especially when you need surgery and broken a leg or whatever, fantastic. I love them, and that's why we rely on them. But when it comes to taking charge of your own health and well-being, and it's really our responsibility and us making that choice. Yes. And how I explain it to people, it's like a spider's web. If you're feeling a bit down, or, you've got a bit of a niggle here or there, and you go to a doctor and then he gives you medication, you're caught in the spider's web. And you're being poisoned by the spider. Therefore, it's like you become numbed out. You give over your power to the medication or to whatever the doctor is telling you. And therefore, then there's side effects from that medication. So then you get another cocktail and you get caught up in this spider's web loop. And basically you just go downhill, and you've given up your power. And as a practitioner for over 20 years, when people would, come to me and say, look, this hurts or this hurts, and the doctor said this, and it's like, take your power back. You can heal your own body. And one of my teachers I've been studying with is Deepak Chopra. And I remember when he came to Australia, this is about 20 years ago. And he went, take 15 years off your actual age. But he also said, you actually, every cell in your body you're renewing. Every year there's a brand new body. And so, stomach linings every 5 days, liver is every 6 weeks. I mean, every organ, goes through different stages of rejuvenation, regeneration. So that's where we can take our power back and rebuild our body. And it all comes with our mindset and our whole attitude. And how committed are we to our health? Or are we falling into, I couldn't be bothered, or that victim, like wanting to blame or wanting to, give our power over to something external. And it shows in your health.
It really does. Absolutely. And I think people, I often have clients who say to me, well, I only want to focus on one thing at a time. And you say, well, the good thing about supplements is that they are generally working on many things at once. So, for example, if I give big doses of vitamin C, just say it shows up that someone needs, say, 4 to 8 grams of vitamin C a day, that's a really decent dose. So what that can do at that dose is pull out excess histamine, which can be there because of brain injuries or endometriosis or gut issues, or, because histamine builds up in the gut, the brain, the uterus, and the spine. If people are sensitive little bunnies with electromagnetic frequencies, 5G energy, TV energy, mobile phones, that sort of thing, excess vitamin C can actually help to pull all those EMFs out of the body. It can help with both blood and fat detoxing, so when you're getting on nutrients that are actually pro-health as opposed to a drug, which is more about symptom relief, it's a whole different energy you're working on then. And then if you add in meditation or spiritual guidance, gratitude journals, then you add in exercise and movement, and then you add in beauty and color and nature into your world.
All and laughter.
Laughter. Oh my God, yes. So by that stage, you're actually working on several systems of your body that are all pro-health.
Exactly. And that's, the 5-day discovery that this little mini course that I put together is teaching people how to tune into your body.
So what we might do, Linda, what I might do is we might take a little break, come back, and we'll just chat about your whole 5-day process.
Oh, okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone, we'll be back in just a moment with the Natural Podcast with Madonna Guy. We're here with LindaJoyBenn. See you in a moment.